I am speaking with a 19-year-old young lady by the name of Jane Doe. Jane has recently revealed to her family that she was sexually abused by her uncle from the ages of 10 to 12. Jane never told her family about the abuse because she didn't want to tear her family apart. She also expressed that she didn't think that her family would believe her because she was just a child. As a result of keeping all of the abuse and trauma that she experienced without having an outlet, um, just being a young child, not having any coping skills, and really knowing how to process all of the things that have happened to her, Jane spent most of her adolescent years getting into trouble. She started to develop impulsive, aggressive behavior in high school. She got into so many fights that she was expelled from school in 11th grade. She had to be homeschooled. Being homeschooled didn't help Jane. Instead, she began to isolate herself and went into a deep depression. Um, she has also made claims that she became paranoid and developed this fear of large crowds, and she didn't want to be around anybody. Upon my assessment of Jane um, and the trauma that she experienced, I am inclined to believe that Jane was suffering from depression, social anxiety, and conduct disorder. Um, all of those things were a result of the trauma that she experienced. I do believe that Jane can benefit from trauma therapy if she has not found an outlet to deal with her trauma, if she hasn't developed any coping skills thus far. According to Rothschild, the first step in trauma treatment is to do the client no harm. And with that, um, I believe that, and with that statement, I believe that it is important to have dialogue with your client, to do a thorough assessment, just to see how they're processing the trauma, um, if they've already, found a outlet to deal with the trauma, if they already have coping skills, if the trauma is not, causing them harm, if they aren't reliving and replaying events in their mind and having all of these negative things happen as a result of the memories of that trauma, then it is, you know, it would make sense to ask the client if they indeed want to engage in trauma therapy. What I've learned from Rothschild, that not, even though people have trauma, not everyone wants trauma therapy, and not everyone will benefit from trauma therapy, especially if they've already found a way to cope with the trauma. I think a lot of times as clinicians, we just push therapy, particularly trauma therapy, but that is not always the answer for every person. For instance, um, Jane is now 19 years old. She's graduated high school. She has her diploma. She's moved on to the next chapter in her life. If she, was to take an art class, or, you know, um, I don't know, maybe music lessons, or if she started to take a creative writing class and now she's journaling, all of her feelings and, and her emotions, and um, it would be safe to assume that she has found a way to to cope with what has happened to her. and possibly even heal and move on from that. Sometimes when we force clients to go to trauma therapy and, you know, ask them a bunch of process questions that forces them to really relive the events over and over again, sometimes that can cause someone to regress. So, in that situation, I think that we should not do the client any harm, and we should respect um, whatever coping skills that they have developed on their own to get them through the trauma. However, if Jane is 19 years old and she's still having that aggressive behavior, she's still depressed, she's easily angered, um, all of those negative things would suggest that perhaps she is still, you know, struggling with the things that have happened to her, that she hasn't quite yet figured out how to cope with all of the emotions and all the negative things that come along with being sexually abused, especially as a child. If she's still struggling with all of that, then yes, I think that trauma therapy would be beneficial to her, particularly cognitive behavioral therapy, because with sexual trauma, especially kids that have been sexually abused, they tend to blame themselves because they don't know. They put all the blame on themselves. They don't know why this is happening to them. They don't understand, did I do something wrong? Was it something I said? Was it something that I wore? Why are these things happening to me? And so with children having a brain that is not even fully developed, the impact of that sexual abuse is huge. And so when part of their innocence is stripped, essentially, it may take them a little longer to figure out how to sort out all of these emotions, or kind of remedy, or perhaps bad behavior or negative behavior as a result of the things that happen to them. So with that being said, again, I think that we have to assess our clients on the case-by-case basis to see if trauma therapy will be good for them, if it will be beneficial to them, or if it will stunt their progress. So, thank you.